Hi, welcome back to Tega's Corner, and today on the show we're going to be talking about the transfers. Who bought well and who just bought? Where did the money go to and who benefited more from these transfers? We'll also be looking at the friendlies played last night, England versus Norway and Germany against Argentina, a kind of rematch of the World Cup finals. But let's start with the transfer market. So this week, Cristiano Ronaldo was heard complaining about the transfers that the president in Real Madrid did, and he's quoted, to be precise, "I have a very clear opinion, but I cannot always say what I think." It was also learned that he was not very pleased with the fact that they sold Angel Di Maria and Xabi Alonso, because he felt that those guys helped them very well when it came to winning. Look, Cristiano Ronaldo, you are not the only one. I remember some years back when Real Madrid sold Claude Makelele and then bought David Beckham, and Zinedine Zidane complained bitterly about it, but there was nothing done. But that's how the Galacticos work. They always like to buy the hype. They like to buy the flash. They like to buy the big names. Unfortunately for them, the important players like Xabi Alonso and Angel Di Maria fall through the cracks, and you saw from the results against Real Sociedad how they struggled. If they had a Xabi Alonso, would their defense have been that exposed? I don't think so. Yes, Cristiano Ronaldo, you can complain, but if you're going to continue working for your current employers, you're going to have to get used to this. They're going to keep selling big names, not say big names, important players, to always buy the big names. That's how Real Madrid works. Barcelona did a very good job when it came to transfers. Last season, they had problems getting goals, especially in some tough games, and they went to get a striker, albeit a person of questionable character in Luis Suarez, but he does get the goals. And so they bought him. He's lethal, he's clinical, he may bite sometimes, but he does get you goals. They also bought Ivan Rakitic. What I think they should have done that they didn't do was shore up defensively. No replacements for Puyol. They seem to be trying to get more players from their youth academy. I don't know how that's going to work when it comes to big matches, but going forward, they did have a good buy. Defensively, still exposed. So I don't know if that's going to work well for them in the UEFA Champions League. I think they could survive the La Liga, but the Champions League, I don't think they can go far with the defense they have. All the big buys came from the English Premier League. £833 million spent this season by the Premiership. £305 million of that money going to Spain, because they bought a lot of players from Spain, but 500 and thereabout million settling in the Premier League with transfers. Manchester United making the biggest buy. 18% of those sales were from Manchester United. They bought Radamel Falcao. Brilliant buy, I think, not just for now, but even for the future. If they can eventually, no, they didn't buy him, they took him on a loan and with an option to buy him out. So I think it's a brilliant buy. They're going to need to show up, especially with Van Persie's body acting up, picking injuries here and there, and his age. I think eventually they'll need him to come in. They managed to get Daley Blind, and then they managed to get Marcos Rojo for their defense. The problem with that defense is that it's going to need time for it to settle, and it's also going to need time for it to be experienced with the Premier League pace. But not a bad buy. The team needed an overhaul, so most people need to stop complaining about Manchester United spending as much as they needed to spend, because they did need to spend money. Unfortunately, in order to get players to a club that is not involved in Europe, either Europa or UEFA Champions League, you're going to spend more money, as opposed to a club like Bayern Munich, who would buy an experienced player like Xabi Alonso for cheap. So they had to spend the money to get the players they wanted, because at the end of the day, a man has to do what a man has to do. Arsenal, I would say, with Olivier Giroud out, I didn't think they were going to go for Danny Welbeck, if you ask me. I think he's pacey, I think he's exposed and experienced in the Premier League, but he's an average player. He doesn't have the cutting edge of a striker, so he's not going to give you the killer finishing that you required. I thought that they were going to push more for Huntelaar. He's very good in the 18-yard box aerially. He can play alone up front. He scores with both feet. He's just the complete striker I thought would be a perfect replacement for Van Persie. But Arsenal didn't push for him. Instead, they went for average Danny Welbeck. there's a reason why Manchester United sold him after getting Van Persie and Radamel Falcao, because on their list of players, he ranked lowest when it came to talent. So Arsenal, for me, not a good buy at all when it came to Danny Welbeck. Chelsea, on the other hand, had a perfect season. They bought the players they needed to do. They struggled scoring last season, and they bought the strikers that they needed in Loic Remy and Diego Costa. They lacked a lot of creativity last season. They got Fabregas, and he's giving the passes, creating those passes, opening the play, and he can also get you goals. Defensively, I think their back line is okay, but a defensive midfielder that can close out a game, they still needed to buy, but they can make do with what they have now in Mikel, Obi, and Matic. So for me, Chelsea had the best buy. They were the winners in this transfer window in every part of Europe, if you ask me. Barcelona would come second. Real Madrid would be the worst losers, because I don't know how they're going to survive with Yaramendi manning that midfield. But that's all we have on transfers. We will come up with one-liners right after this. I think if Angel Di Maria were fit for the final game of the World Cup, the Germans will not be world champions by now. I totally agree with Tamid and Agogo. Suspend the individuals and leave the country. Caroline Wozniacki seems to be benefiting from this great breakup with Rory McIlroy. He doesn't seem to be the only one winning things after all. We'll go to Mercedes. I don't know if it is Nico Rosberg or Lewis Hamilton. And that's it for the week. Remember to subscribe to this channel. Send us your email at tonojaifrey@gmail.com and tweet at us at Tega Supreme. This is Tega's Corner, and I am Tega.